Hey, I published about 55 plus videos in the last 28 days. That is, of course, the month of February, and I published a lot of stuff. Now, the cool thing is the results, right? So the results of this are positive. Like it actually worked out well, which is a good thing. I'm going to show you those first. Okay, I'm going to show you some of the results. I'm not going to go into a deep analysis right now. I haven't number one, frankly, had the time to go into a deep analysis. And then the other part is I only have a subset of the data. I only have 27 days. So I have February 1st through February 27th. And that's good enough. It gives us a pretty clear picture. And we're going to take a look in just a second. I'm actually going to share my screen. In this video, I'm going to share with you a couple of my like templates and systems. I'm not going to go like super in depth because it gets a little bit deep, but I'm going to show you a lot of the mechanics of what's going on. So before I get to it, I'm going to tell you how this is going to work. So I'm going to show you a few of the results so you can see that they were positive, right? So that's always a good thing. We could do a lot of work, but if there were no positive results out of it, then it only tells us what not to do. So I did learn some things, not to do, but generally this was a good experience. So number one, I'll show you some results. I'll show you the general calendar that we use. Now, I'll tell you some of the mistakes that I made around the calendar initially, and then where we arrived at later. And I keep saying the word we. The other person involved in this is Mackenzie Fly. I put a link in the description. Please check out her channel. She's my assistant. She's a friend of mine. And we did a lot of work just publishing all this stuff. The other person that helped out is an editor. So I had help in this, but total, aside from my time, I had assistants helping me roughly about 25 hours per week. And that was it. Nothing crazy overall. I had a video editor and then Mackenzie helping me out just generally as an assistant. She has a YouTube channel, and that's why, I pointed out her channel. So be sure to check it out. She covers different stuff than me, right? Completely different stuff than I do. But check out her channel. I interviewed her. She's a digital nomad. She does digital marketing and is, traveling. So if you find that interesting, do check that out. I'm going to go fairly quick today. If you are in the chat, be sure to say what's up. I see we only have a few people on, but this is kind of a strange time. I didn't schedule this ahead of time. I kind of just want to get it out there and let everyone know that that I'm done publishing 2 videos a day, at least for the time being. So number one, I'm going to start sharing my screen here so that you can indeed see some of the results. We have Tao on. What's up? Good to have you on. Where is this screen that I'm going to share? Okay, there we go. So I'm just going to just share my analytics here, and I think you could see it. So what we're showing on here is, and we have Daniel, we have Tao, and then some characters which I cannot pronounce, but welcome as well. Glad to have you on. This is the last 90 days. So the default is 28 days, but I like to look at 90 days out or more to see trends. That's just my personal preference. Watch time is the, sort of the keystone metric that you could look at in YouTube, right? So everything's based on watch time if you just had to, narrow it down. So this is the watch time over the last 90 days. The other thing I do is I smooth it out by looking at a 7-day rolling average. Otherwise, well, I could just show you, you end up with a lot of spikes and it's hard to see the trend. So I'm interested in the trend more than anything else. So when we look back 90 days, this is going back to November 30th, and we could see, pretty stable, a little bit of growth here and there, and just a little bit more growth. I was actually improving my videos and publishing a little bit more often. I was really bad at the beginning, right? And this will be part of the analysis. The videos sucked, right? And I know this. The videos were really bad like just a year ago. And I got better over time because I kept trying. So you could see improvement in, December going into January. And then, Mackenzie was already helping me out around this time in mid-January. Actually, when you see the growth start, that's when Mackenzie was helping me out. She helped me with thumbnails because I'm really bad at thumbnails, and she was better. She was better. And then basically, we decided, yeah, we're going to be able to do it. We're going to be able to publish a lot of videos in February. And I got inspired by, a couple people who did, challenges, publish one video a day for a month or whatever. One of my friends, Zoe Ariel, she did that in November. She called it Zovember, which is smart branding. And then it went well, right? And I saw a couple other people who did, 50 days worth. And I thought, you know what if I did 2 videos a day? And then I relaxed a little bit and I was like, what if I did 2 videos a day for most of the week, and then just 1 video a day on the other days? So that's what we did. And you could see the first couple days, it kind of just went up a little bit. And then it really went up a lot. There were a couple good videos that kind of took off a little bit more than others. They were a little bit longer in length, like 15 and 24 minutes, and they came out on consecutive days. That really made a difference, at this point in time. You can see it dropped off a little bit. Some of the topics weren't as strong, perhaps, and, maybe some people just weren't watching as much. However, when we look at the overall growth, right, I'm sad that it didn't, keep skyrocketing here, but when you check out the growth, which shows a percentage from the beginning of the 90 days to the end, we're looking at November 30th all the way until a couple days ago. It's 184% growth as far as watch time goes, which is crazy. So that worked, right? So that works. And when we look at some of the other metrics, they're not as impressive as the watch time. Subscribers, I was hoping to get a lot more growth with the subscribers. We went from an average of less than 10 per day to closer to 20 per day. Again, a rolling 7-day average. And when we look at some of the spikes, we see a trend up. So it worked. The point is, this worked. Sometimes we do a lot of work and it doesn't actually pay off as well. But in this case, it worked. Now, like I said, I can't go super deep into all the systems, but I could share a couple things. Before I go on, I do want to mention I have a productivity beta course. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, if you're interested in improving your productivity, you should check out the course. There's some links and some information in the description if you are. This is a beta, right? So it's a little rougher around the edges just in general. So it's a work in progress. I've had about 15 people go through the course already, and now we're going on the second iteration. So you can check it out if you want. And the cool part about being in a beta, one, it's a little bit cheaper, right? So you get a discount for having the patience to work with me. And the other part is you get to help shape the material in the future, right? So you're able to say you want to see more of a certain thing, and if enough people say it, then I'll add it. So for example, I added a lot more project management, a whole extra unit on project management out of the pilot students, right? So they said they wanted to see more of that, so I delivered. Additionally, more case studies. So I'm able to, for example, go way more in depth in this YouTube content sprint. So, and it's Ruth from Israel, and then we have Cam from India. So good to have you both on. The other thing that I could show you real quick. So again, I'm going to go back to the screen here. We got the analytics. So the analytics, like I said, was a positive result. Overall, it's a positive result. Things are good. When we look at the content calendar, this is sort of like the root of how everything was put together. Now, initially, I was trying to use Google Sheets along with Google Calendar and Zapier to have a calendar view plus have this view. And then I messed with that for a couple days and then just realized, you know what? Just about 100% of the time, the simplest solution is the way to go. So I stuck with a simple solution. check with Mackenzie if she had any strong preferences, and then just move forward with this. By the way, you'll notice there are something like we're going A through N, so that's quite a few fields where there's information in here, and it started off with about three columns here, and then I started adding more and more and more, and then it turned out we probably could have cut out, one or two or three of these other columns here, but this is how we were progressing. When we started this grid, nothing was filled out. This was all like orange. Orange means you haven't done it yet. So we had just no work done at the beginning, but as we started trucking through it, we were making a lot of progress. Now, one of the key things that we did is we basically had half the month done before we even started on February 1st, started publishing on February 1st. So we had like 25 videos. I don't remember exactly, but we made the call early on, like, hey, we're going to have a checkpoint the day before. We're going to make sure we feel comfortable moving forward, and we have the moving pieces like in place and ready just in case, I catch a cold, she catches a cold. We can't do as much work. We wanted to have some space, some slack in the system. And that is precisely what we did, right? So we got most of like 90% of the first half. We may have had everything done in the first half, or sorry, we had half the work done before we even started publishing. So that gave us some leeway, which was good to have. Turns out we really didn't need it, but it made it way less stressful. And it was probably, 10 days or 7 to 10 days of pretty dedicated work where we were primarily trying to get this stuff going. Now, one of the reasons why I let the beta, but started up the beta of this productivity course again, is because people were asking me, how are you able to publish all these videos? Are you working 12 hours a day? Are you doing, crazy stuff? And I'm not. I didn't do crazy stuff. I work probably 4 to 6 hours a day most days. Occasionally, I'll put in a longer day if I have a lot of energy and just feel up for it and want to keep working. But a lot of times they are quite reasonable days. And that's the thing. Like, we had the systems in place. I had Mackenzie helping me out a lot. And then the other piece of the puzzle was the editor. And we had a pretty simple system. I took a quick screenshot just to show you. And it was remarkably simple. And the thing is, like, you can make things more complicated, but you usually don't need to. So the way it worked is I have an editor who has access to a folder, and then I create a folder with the files that are appropriate. And I say ready when it's ready. And then I let her know to make the edits. She'll edit the video, put it in the finish folder. And this is one thing that I did have in Zapier, was when she moved a finished video file to the finish folder, it would then automatically upload to YouTube. So it would go to YouTube right away. Mackenzie would see it, do a thumbnail, watch it, create a description, tags, all that stuff, right? So pretty straightforward. Again, the simplest system that we could possibly come up with. I tried to make it more complicated by having more like automated areas, but it turns out like it's fun to do that. It's exciting to set up the systems and stuff, but really you just need the bare minimum, especially when you're trying to figure it out, right? So I mentioned before, a lot of my videos, like from last year, I know some of the people on here have seen some of these, I guess, kind of more meandering videos that don't get to the point really fast, and there's no edits. There's probably no description. It was just me getting videos out. But through that struggle of like getting the videos out, I was able to figure out like what I actually needed to do for each one, the important parts, and it's all slow, right? No matter what you're working on, there's probably something where you have to like push through the difficult part, the grind, figure out like the right way to do things, or at least the right way for you to do things your style and whatever it is. And then you can start like automating or, make it um, make it faster, right? So I didn't necessarily automate very much, but pretty solid systems. Now, we still have opportunities to say create templates for the description so it's easier to write the descriptions. I could like hook up Zapier so that when a video is uploaded, I get a transcription for closed captioning created right away. Like there's other things that I could automate that I was handling in a manual way because I didn't have enough experience to make the call. But once you do, right, the only way you can like figure out how to automate something or set up a system around something is to go through it manually a few times, more than a few times. Because if you are automating or trying to put a process around something that is not yet efficient or there's too much waste, if you start to automate that, you'll end up with amplifying the waste, right? You're going to amplify the inefficiencies. There's a much better quote by, I think, Bill Gates. He probably wasn't the first person to say it either, but it's, if you're going to scale up, but you still have the inefficiency in there, you're just going to create like way more problems. You're going to amplify the inefficiency. So, that said, just wanted to share some of those results because, well, I finished the month. Mackenzie and I finished the month, and we're going to scale it back a little bit. We're pulling back in for March because we don't want to go insane, right? Like, we keep publishing this many videos? Probably we could for a little while, but that's not actually the point. So we're going to let these soak for a little while, see what happens. We're going to scale it back to, I think, about 2 to 3 like fresh videos per week, plus a few live streams, probably more live streams, since these take a little bit less production and people are a little bit more forgiving with these live streams, plus I like the chat. So, all right, I'm going to take a look at some of the questions. Don't forget, take a look at Mackenzie's channel, give her a shout over there. She covers lots of different topics. If you take a look at some of her videos, she covers a huge range. So find something you like, say hello. The other part is a productivity course. If you're interested in like seeing behind the scenes of like productivity of what I'm doing, the systems that I'm doing, personal productivity, taking project management to different areas of your life, check out the course. Okay. Looking at the chat. Graham, what's up? Thanks about the course. And you say best of luck. Appreciate it. Rajit, what's up? Hernan says, thanks for sharing the info. You're welcome. Would you think it's worth it to put a lot of effort towards building a profitable YouTube channel, or it's better to do a video super focused on selling our authority, courses, books, services? Let's see, a profitable YouTube channel or do video focused on selling? You know what? I'm not sure. I think it depends on your business model. To be honest, I don't see a huge distinction between like a profitable YouTube channel versus selling your like videos on selling courses and books and services. When you say a profitable YouTube channel, do you mean like through ad revenue? Because if that's the case, I would say definitely go towards the super focused on selling the authority stuff. And it looks like since I did a random hop in here, like we managed to get some trolls in here, I think, which is crazy. It's been a while. It's funny. BB, good to have you on. Please like the video. And Cool Deep, you're welcome. Good to have you on. And I'll like Hernan, let me know if you have like a clarification on your answer. The thing is, if you start a YouTube channel and you think you're going to make money from ad revenue, it's pretty hard to do that because there are you have to have a lot of views. You have to have a huge amount of views to make much money via like ad revenue. So that's the thing with it, it's really hard to do. And our friendly troll says, you'll like the video and give it a thumbs up if I answer your questions. Cool. Before I answer the questions, what do you get out of like asking the questions? Just curious. It's great to have you on. I appreciate it, BB. I hope you come to all of these. And just curious, yeah. What do you make money somehow? Are you sent by other channels or something like that? Do you just like to, you know, make your presence known on people's live streams? Just curious. What makes you tick, BB? All right, and Hernan, apparently I answered your question, so that's cool. And I was talking to Mackenzie earlier today about, just like ad revenue. Or was I talking? Was it yesterday? Anyway, at some point I was talking to someone about ad revenue, and yeah, like it's a small amount of revenue unless you get a ton of views. It's pretty crazy. So, okay, cool. I think that's about it. And BB never got back to me, so I'm going to assume that I won. I'm assuming that I won this battle. So, yeah, cool. All right, everyone have a good day. Thanks for hopping on. And if you're catching the recording later, feel free to leave comments, ask questions, whatever. I will be putting together a lot more information and stuff on like all of the stuff that Mackenzie and I worked on, as well as my editor, and just sharing that a little bit more, especially the results. So basically, the more questions you ask, the easier it will be for me to provide information that you're actually interested in. So otherwise, I just you know publish what I think is interesting, which may be different from what other people think is interesting. So, okay, cool. Everybody have a good day. We'll catch you later. Thanks.